A warm welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for your patience and joining us today. So, to give a brief about Vidyashilp University, Vidyashilp University comes from a group called Vidyashilp Education Group, which is in Bangalore, and it is recognized worldwide for the unique curriculum and teaching practices which the university and the education group follows. So it's a culmination of, let's say, 40 decades of proven excellence. And our portfolio of institution provides thought leadership to the education community across the country. So to make it very simple, the word Vidya means education and Shilp means to sculpt. So we are committed to bringing disruptive education by sculpting education for students. Like I said just before we started, all of this we do for the students so that we can enable them to blossom to their full potential. Our single-eyed focus is to provide unique student experience, which is the Vidyashilp experience. So this experience will be fused with domain expertise. Hence, we have Kiran today talking about the domain. Our webinars provide a platform for unlocking the potential of domains. So with that, let me introduce you to our speaker today, who is Kiran Kumar. He is an IT professional with over 25 years of work experience. He's worked in major multinational companies such as Motorola, Philips, Wipro, Infosys, and many other companies in delivering innovative products and solutions for global clients. Through his association with Atal Innovation Mission, an initiative of Niti Aayog, Government of India, he has been instrumental in driving major digital transformation initiatives in the field of education and bringing about a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship among schools and college students. So the whole objective of this webinar is to provide a broad overview of emerging digital trends, technologies, smart products, and services that are influencing, impacting, transforming, disrupting, and changing the future of our lives, be it home, at work, or life in general. These are the simple words which Kiran gave it to me when I was speaking to him. So I have used it. Thank you, Kiran. And to all the students and whoever has joined in today, please feel free to put in your questions in the chat section so I can put them together and read it out to Kiran. Also, if you have any questions, if Kiran is speaking, please feel free to put it in the chat box so I can read it out to him. Kiran, you can take over. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Shambhavi. Thank you for the great introduction, and and I hope this will be an exciting session for the next 1 hour or so. So good evening, everyone, all the students who have joined this session today, and any teachers who have also joined in today's session. So let's get started, and let me just share my screen first, and then we can begin. Okay, I hope this screen has.
Please put yourself on mute, everyone. I would really request all of you to be on mute.
Okay. So I'm just trying to push this aside, this Zoom window. I don't know, I need to put it somewhere. Okay, I hope it's not visible to you, right?
No, it's not visible to us. Students, may I request you all to put yourself on mute so we can listen?
Yeah, okay, let's get started. So good evening, everyone. This is a very exciting topic. The topic of today's session is thriving in the age of digital transformation. And looking at the participation level, it appears that all of you are really excited to be part of this session, and you understand the importance of this, right? Today we are living in the digital economy. That's what I'm going to start this whole session with, and then I'm going to take you on a journey many of the things that I talk about may be familiar to you because many of the examples are pretty simple examples that I picked up specifically for school students. I don't want to use a lot of jargon to get into technicalities because this is a very, this session is more about giving you the breadth. So you understand the big picture, because most of the times what happens is we get drowned in little bits and pieces of information. And then we don't get the big picture. We don't really understand what's happening out there in the world. And then where do we play a part in that? And where do we begin? What do we do? Those are the kind of things that I'm going to talk about. So it will not be in depth, but it'll give you a broad exposure. But if you would like to understand a little more, you can always dig deeper and understand. I mean, of course, there are lots of, you can always go to Google, or you can pick up any courses or things like that. So let's talk about the agenda first. So first is to get that big picture, as I said. We are going to start with digital economy. I guess the previous talk was also related to economy, if I understand correctly. So I'm going to probably pick up from where the previous gentleman left many of the participants with, and I'm going to pick up from there. I'm going to take you on a journey of digital technologies and digital economy and digital disruption, how digital technologies are disrupting the world today, and how it is transforming, and what is the second mission age that we are entering. And finally, we are also going to talk about something called the mission-driven economy of the future. We will also very briefly talk about Industry 4.0 that some of you may be familiar with. And ultimately, we will also talk about the long-term vision called Society 5.0, which some of the countries are already moving towards. And then after getting the big picture, we will also look at what concrete actions we can take. For example, we need to first of all understand what is the impact of all the changes that are happening out there in the world, and what new skills that we need to acquire as students or as young adults, and what kind of things can we leverage in the process, and what potential or possible directions can we take in the future. Because I think many of you, especially in class 11 and 12, you are at a stage where you need to take major decisions in your career, I mean, in your future studies, your higher education and things like that. And then after that, you will have to look up for, I mean, entering a career, whether in job or as an entrepreneur, or whatever it may be, right? So this is what I'm going to talk about. And let's begin with the first thing we call as the digital economy. First of all, let's be clear what is an economy. In an economy basically is it's basically about production and consumption. It's about demand and supply. It's about meeting somebody's need in the society, right? So if not everybody can do everything. So basically we consume what others produce, and then we also supply to each other. That's how the economy runs. That's how modern society runs today. Probably in a few centuries back, people were more self-sufficient. They were more dependent on agriculture, and the trade was much less. But today the trade is significant, and it drives everything in the society. So that's why economy is important. And what we are going to talk about is how the economy is influenced by digital technologies, digital products and services, and things like these. Okay. So if you want to look at what the definition of a digital economy is, it's written out here. So I made it kind of, you can even read it through. It's basically a broad range of economic activities that use digital technologies or digitized information and knowledge as basically the fundamentals using which you actually produce and consume goods and services in the society. That's what digital economy is all about. Basically, it's all about using digital technologies. It's about using data. It uses devices, smart devices today. Like many of us use smartphones. It uses even digital machines and equipment and things like that. And then, of course, digital economy wouldn't be there without the people who are going to use it. And it also drives its own set of processes and procedures and standards and things like that. And in the process of as we progress through the digital economy, it also leads to many other things. For example, it connects each other. For example, internet is also a digital technology. It connects each other. especially when we use internet-enabled applications or apps nowadays, right? And of course, digital technologies are rapidly changing, which also leads to innovations, and it brings new products and services in the market. And of course, it also creates some sort of disruptions in the process. That's what we are going to talk about. And then transformation. Disruptions are pieces of changes that happen. And finally, when they become more mainstream, it kind of becomes a significant transformation in the society. When more and more people start adopting digital technologies, we will see a transformation, a complete change of things. That's what we are going to see. In fact, in the, okay, so I think this Zoom thing keeps popping up once in a while. I don't know what to do with this. Okay, I need to minimize this, I guess. Okay, or let me put it aside somewhere. Okay, I put it somewhere. I hope it's not visible to you. Okay,
no, it isn't. We can only see whatever you're showing.
Okay, great. So if you look at what's happening today, digital economy is completely driven, or mainly driven, I would say, by internet, social media, and smart devices. Just look at some of the key numbers. This is from January 2021, from one of the reports from a company called Hootsuite. It actually generates reports about the status of digital economy in the world and also in various other countries. If you look at the world, the population is about 7.75 billion people out there, and out of which 67% of the world population already has mobile phones, and almost 60% are users of internet today. Of course, the percentage varies from country to country, but an average of about 60%, and almost 50% of people in the world use social media today. And when you come to India, again, we are close to 1.4 billion people in India, and we have a significant mobile penetration in our country. Almost 1.1 billion people, almost 80% of the country is using mobile phones. Of course, some people may have more than one phone, but the penetration is almost 80%. And in terms of internet usage, it's about 45% of the people use internet. That is significant for like ours. And also social media users is more than 30%. So these are the things, the internet, the mobile phones, the social media, all of these are significant drivers. They are fueling the digital economy today, which is basically the production and consumption of digital products and services, right? So I think we understand this much. It's not too complex. Now, what is also driving the digital economy is basically the digital products and services, as I was just mentioning, whether it is your WhatsApp that you use, whether you use the Zoom meeting like how we are using today now at this time, whether you use Uber app to book a cab, for example, or when you use social media like Facebook, Twitter, or whether you use a smartwatch or an iPod, or whether you buy something on an e-commerce portal like Amazon or Myntra or eBay or Flipkart. So we are all consumers of this digital economy, and there are lots of people who are also producing lots of digital products and services, right? So the whole point of this talk is to move us from being digital consumers to being digital producers. But I'll come to that little later, okay? So many of us are just consuming, but we also can produce. That's the whole promise of this talk. Okay, so this is where we are currently. And if you see what's driving or what is the heart of all these digital products, there are lots of technologies, lots and lots of technologies, and some of them are existing technologies, some of them are emerging technologies. For example, Internet of Things, or data analytics, robotics, artificial intelligence. These are called as the emerging technologies. Of course, they have already emerged, but there is a lot more potential for them to play a significant role in the digital economy. And of course, we are all familiar with things like internet, web applications, mobile devices, smart devices, mobile apps, and these are some of the things we are already used to in the last probably a decade or 15 years or so. And now the latest is all about 5G. So all of these technologies are at the heart of other digital products and services that we are experiencing, we are using on a daily basis, right? So I think all of these is familiar to you. In case you're not familiar with any of these technologies, I would request you to go to Google and search for them. For example, I don't know how many of you are familiar with blockchain. Okay, somebody asked this question, what a blockchain is. Okay, I'll probably take it later, this question. Blockchain is one of the technologies which drives things like Bitcoin, for example. But blockchain is more than that. You know, Bitcoin is something called as a cryptocurrency. Blockchain is, or it's also called as a distributed ledger technology, which is the core of the technology that drives blockchain. And blockchain is basically a series of blocks, and you have some transactions that can be done on each of the blocks, and it's basically more safe and secure. But if I get into blockchain, it's going to take a lot of time because it's a topic by itself. So I would encourage you to go and study it on the internet, and you will find out what blockchain is. Okay, it's a very revolutionary technology. That's all I can say. That it's disrupting some of the systems. It can even disrupt the banking system, for example, and disrupt the currencies, because there are lots of cryptocurrencies that are coming out there. But blockchain has applications even outside of that. And probably you're familiar with the big data. You're familiar with data analytics, right? You're familiar with data science. You're familiar with virtual and augmented reality technologies. So these are some of the technologies that are shaping the world today. Okay, and let's see what next. So basically, if you see, the digital technologies are the one which have had the most profound impact on our lives in the recent days, in the recent few years. We are so impacted by these technologies that we cannot even imagine to live our lives without these. Okay, some of the products, whether it is Google or Amazon, we are so used to it. We can't live a day without doing a Google search or using one of the Google applications or the apps on your smartphones, right? And nowadays, especially since the pandemic has stuck, we are all used to going and shopping online or Amazon or Flipkart or some other e-commerce store, online e-commerce stores, right? So it's become so fundamental to our lives. Okay, so all these technologies are driving digital products and services. And what is happening now, okay, this is where things start getting a little more involved. So you need to pay attention to this particular slide and the next few slides. What's happening is all these technologies that I talked about earlier, they were disparate technologies. That means there were products and services which were based on Internet of Things or on mobile devices, mobile phones. You had simple apps which could do certain things, and you had artificial intelligence technology driving certain other kind of products and services. But now what is happening is some of these technologies are coming together. When it comes together, it leads to more smarter products and services. Okay, that is what is happening. Okay, so for example, look at if you let's say have devices and machines and robots, and if you put some sensors on them, and then you enable them with Internet of Things technology, and that Internet of Things technology can read the sensor data and then send it to a big data store, and in the big data store it can hold all the data that are coming from sensors from multiple devices. And when you analyze the data through a data analytics tool, it gives you some analyzed data which can be used by people. For example, you can send it to a mobile app which gives you some information, okay, which a user can use and see and read and make sense of the data that is coming from these sensors. For example, if it is an industrial machine, and let's say if it's an industrial boiler and you're measuring the temperature and pressure and things like that, you can get the data from the temperature sensor, and then you can store the data in a big data store. Then you can analyze the data, and then finally you can visualize the data, and you can probably even take some actions. Okay, or you could also feed the data to something called as a machine learning system or as an artificial intelligence based system, which can learn from the data, from the past experience, from the past data. It can learn and can take more actions, and it can possibly even drive machines so that the machines can take actions on their own. For example, the learnings from the machine learning algorithms can be fed into a robot, which will drive the robot further. So even in the case of a self-driving car, this is how it is used. Okay, or it could be the data from a big data store could be fed to blockchain, and then blockchain could in turn drive e-commerce systems. Or you could also have data coming from social networks like Facebook or WhatsApp, or from web and mobile devices, which are basically used in either from consumers or from industrial or business users. Of course, this what I talked about now may look very confusing. So I'm going to give you one very concrete example. Okay, let's take this next slide, where let's say all of us, many of us probably have this vacuum cleaner at home, right? So a simple vacuum cleaner, okay, which is used for cleaning your homes. Now, let's say that it's a conventional vacuum cleaner, and then which you have to move around in the house and you need to clean it, which is going to take a lot of time for you, right? To clean the home with a vacuum cleaner. Or of course, many people use a broom to clean it. That's also a time-taking task. And then many of us said, okay, broom is not so clean, so we are going to use a vacuum cleaner to clean our homes. And then we switched to vacuum cleaners. But vacuum cleaners also take time. Nowadays, we are seeing something called as a robotic vacuum cleaners, which do the job by themselves. So basically, so I'm going to illustrate how a robotic vacuum cleaner would typically work. Okay, so what it does is this vacuum cleaner will have some sort of sensors, or it may have it has some wheels, right? Of course, a robotic vacuum cleaner has to have wheels, and it should have some kind of a suction device or a motor or some kind of a pump which will suck the dust from the surface from the floor, and it has to pull it. Of course, that's the basic job of a vacuum cleaner, but I'm going to talk about how a basic vacuum cleaner can be integrated with a variety of technologies and made a smart vacuum cleaner. That's the point I'm trying to make here. Okay, let's say you integrate some sensors with it, and then you pull the data from the vacuum cleaner using those sensors, using Internet of Things technology, and then you feed it into a big data storage. Big data storage is, as it says, it's a data storage, or you can think of it as a database of some sort, which has lots of data on it, and it could be not necessarily on the device, it could be somewhere on the cloud as well. So you take the data and push it to a cloud. Okay, and cloud is basically nothing but a set of computers that are on the internet, okay, to make it simple. And then you analyze the data, what is the data, and basically the kind of data that may be coming from vacuum cleaner is basically where is it at any particular point in time. Let's say you have switched it on in your home, whether it is in the kitchen, living room, bedroom, how much it has cleaned, how much it has not cleaned, how long it has been running, whether its battery is running, whether its battery is low, and things like this. All this data can be collected and analyzed. Once you analyze it, you can even feed it to a machine learning algorithms. Okay, what the machine learning algorithm does is it learns from the data. It learns how the machine is running, how the machine has performed in the past. Okay, and then it can give some instructions back to the vacuum cleaner. At the bottom, if you see it, it automatically can drive the vacuum cleaner and say, okay, you have finished cleaning the kitchen, now you go to the bedroom or to the living room. And if the battery is low, it can ask the vacuum cleaner to go and charge itself. Okay, so things are like these. It can learn, and it learns your cleaning patterns. Every day, do you clean your house, or do you clean your house once in 3 days? It can learn from the past behavior, and based on that, it can instruct the vacuum cleaner to automatically switch on and go around, and in what sequence, in what order you want it to be cleaned. It can learn all of these, and then it can start doing the job on its own, pretty much. Okay, and it can also feed some of the historical data like cloud computer or a cloud server where the data can be stored. And finally, all the data can be made available on a mobile phone to a user. Of course, the user can also control the vacuum cleaner manually, but over a period of time, the vacuum cleaner can learn so much about your house that it knows how to clean, when to clean, what area to clean, what area not to clean, and things like that. And these are things like the I'm showing here the iRobot vacuum cleaners. These are completely internet enabled. They have a Wi-Fi in it. You can operate it through a mobile phone or even from an Alexa device. You can just speak to it and it responds back to you in speech. It has cameras, it has sensors. Even it goes to the edge of, let's say, a staircase, it automatically, the sensors know that it has come to the edge and it backs off. So it's pretty smart vacuum cleaner. So by integrating all these technologies, Internet of Things, big data, data analytics, and machine learning, you're making a dumb vacuum cleaner into a smart vacuum cleaner. That's the example that I wanted to give you. How technology is converging and making products smarter, right? I think this is not rocket science. It's pretty simple. Now let's look at one or two more examples as well. Let's take a simple car, which is basically a mechanical machine. And then let's say you put some, basically what does a car do? It takes you from point A to point B, from your origin to destination. That's pretty much the car kind of cars we had earlier. But now cars are being equipped with more sensors and actuators, and it becomes a little more intelligent. This car can sense other cars around it, or when you're backing up, the sensor can tell you that you're close to an obstacle and it can warn you and things like that, right? That's what some of the cars already have. Now, if you were to put a little computer in the car, it becomes a little more intelligent, can do a little more processing. And then let's say you add internet connectivity into the car, to that computer that you have inside the car. It becomes a smarter car or a connected car, right? And ultimately, let's say you bring even artificial intelligence into this car so that it automatically senses, using the sensors, the road around it, and then it can automatically figure out who is next to it, who is behind it, who is ahead of it, is there a traffic light, is there a pedestrian crossing the road. When it knows all of this information, it becomes a self-driving car. You don't even have to drive this car, it drives by itself, right? That is where we are headed. So it's basically coming together of multiple technologies that is moving us from a simple car, mechanical car, to a smart car, to a connected car, and even a self-driving car. Okay. So that is how technology is coming together to enable or build more smarter products. Let's take an example of a service, a smart service, for example. Let's take this e-commerce portal that Amazon or Flipkart. When you go there, when you search for a product, when you start searching the keyword, it automatically completes the keyword for you, or it gives you recommendations or suggestions and says, okay, are you searching for this? How does it happen? There are again artificial intelligence algorithms. It kind of looks at the keywords, the first 2-3 letters that you start typing, it automatically guesses what you may be searching for, what kind of product or what kind of service that you're searching for online. And it automatically starts giving you suggestions. This is again, technology has evolved. In the earlier days, you had to type the complete keyword, but nowadays when you start typing, it automatically starts recognizing or gives you suggestions. Is this what you want? And then you can, it's basically, if you see what this is doing, it's basically combining web technologies, mobile devices, or mobile technologies. It analyzes the data that you're typing, it uses artificial intelligence and gives you, it enables basically a smart search, or it even personalizes your experience based on your past buying patterns. It can even give you recommendations of what products to buy. For example, you might have seen customers who bought this product also bought this other product. It gives you that recommendation. That means it's already analyzing the purchases of other customers. Or maybe you bought this product last time, would you like to buy this product next time? So things like these. So all of these, where is it coming from? It's coming from artificial intelligence and data analytics on top of a web technology. So multiple technologies are converging together to give you smarter products and services today. Okay, that is what is happening. So I've given you some 3 examples. But all of these, more and more we start adopting smarter products and services, it's also causing something called as a disruption or a digital disruption. Okay, in fact, disruption is not something new. It has been happening for a long time. What disruption does is new technologies or products and services will kind of adversely or badly impact existing products and services, or even some of the business models. In fact, it can affect individuals, or it can affect businesses, it can even affect industries. Just take the example of how the disruption has been happening over the years, since let's say 1995. If you look at 1995, that is when the internet became more and more mainstream. Okay, of course, the internet was invented much earlier, but it became more mainstream around early 1990s, and beyond 1995, there are a lot of websites that were popping up everywhere in the world. And India also started getting internet access around 1995 or so, if I remember correctly. And then the other thing, so things started going online. And then if you also see earlier to probably 1995, there are all this conventional cameras where you had to put a film and then you had to take photos. But then digital photography or digital camera started appearing around this time frame. And then the whole thing shifted to digital photographs, which you didn't need a film anymore. You could take as many photos as you wanted. All you needed was a memory card in the digital camera, and you could take hundreds or even thousands of photos. So it kind of disrupted the existing business. For example, Kodak was a very popular company which used to make the conventional cameras, and their business took a major hit when the digital cameras came into picture. Okay, so this is a kind of disruption that happened. And fast forward to 2010, you see that by the time social media had become sort of becoming popular, and we had Facebook, and we also had something called as Google. What was that called? Google Plus? I forgot what it was called. Yeah, it's deprecated now. Not Google Plus, something else.
It started with,
yeah.
If I'm not wrong, I forgot the
We
name.
had Orkut. Orkut was there, right?
Orkut. Yes, I was
Orkut was there. Yeah, and Orkut is defunct now, right? And then Facebook has really grown bigger. And I don't know whether Twitter was there. Twitter was there, I think, in 2010. Okay, so Twitter, all this social media platforms started appearing on the scene. What it did was, prior to that, we used to get all our news from TV and newspapers. And then the moment the social media came, it completely changed the scene. People could generate their own news. And even before your newspaper or TV could announce it, you had the news in front of you on your computers. So that is how it disrupted some of the TV kind of news or the newspapers. Of course, newspapers still survive, but they have also taken a lot of, they have also taken some hit, and they have also kind of adapted to digital technologies. Now, all the newspapers have a digital version as well, in addition to the print version. Okay, and some of them are even offering you subscription model, wherein if you can only see a part of the news, and if you want to read the full news article, you need to pay for it. That's the kind of disruption that they are in turn bringing. And fast forward to 2015, again, now we have more mobile apps, we have messaging, online collaboration tools, and things like this. And mobile apps have become so many mobile apps that it's kind of disrupted every industry. I mean, every industry, whether it's retail, whether it is healthcare, whether it is automobile, education, mobile apps and mobile technologies are completely changing. Yes, Zoom online classes is also one of the examples, right? And it's especially in the pandemic, we have switched to Zoom and Google Meet online classes. So apps and messaging and collaboration are becoming more and more popular. And as they became more popular, it also hit many other companies badly, because Amazons and Flipkarts came into the picture, and what they did, they put some of the retail shops out of business. Earlier, we used to go to retail shops and we used to buy product, goods and services, but now we can just use a mobile app and buy something online. It's become so easy. Now, going forward, 2020 and beyond, pretty much all the industries, all businesses, every aspect of life is threatened by digital technologies. There are going to be more and more disruptions. So it's expected that we have to adopt. And what are the technologies driving this time? It's more of artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, robotics, and of course there are blockchain and other technologies which are bringing more and more disruption. Okay, let me give you a few examples. We already talked about Amazon, right, which brought disruption in the retail sector. In fact, the first version of Amazon was not even the kind of e-commerce store that we see. It was basically when Jeff Bezos started Amazon way back in 97 or 98, he wanted to sell books online. Okay, earlier to that, you had to go to a book shop and you had to buy books, physical books. But then he said, okay, I'm going to sell books online. Okay. So when he started doing that, you could start buying books online. And later on, he started adding more and more products. So ultimately, the kind of Amazon that we see today, we can get A to Z of any kind of products today, right? On online marketplaces like Amazon or Flipkart. And Amazon Go is another retail store. Of course, it's not online, it's a physical retail store, but it has lots of technology in it. It uses a lot of artificial intelligence. What it does is basically you can just walk into the store, pick up whatever you want into the shopping, drop it into your shopping basket. You can just walk out. You don't even have to stand in the checkout counter and you don't have to pay anything. What the store does is it uses a lot of cameras, artificial intelligence. The moment you walk into the shop, it is kind of figuring out who this person is. Okay, of course, you should have registered with the store beforehand. They would have taken your photo and things like that. And then when you walk into the store, it recognizes you, and then you pick up something from the aisles, from the racks, and you put a product into the shopping basket. It knows which product has been picked up and dropped into the basket. And the moment you walk out of the shop, it automatically charges your credit card, debit card, or your bank account. So it kind of sort of disrupted some of the retail stores already. This shop is already functional. Okay, so the kind of self-checkout machines are already there. If you go abroad, you'll see many of these self-checkout machines. You can check out by yourself, and this Amazon Go is even further disrupting the retail shopping experience. So this is one example in the retail. And if you look at the automobile sector, for example, or the manufacturing sector, 3D printing, for example, is completely transforming or disrupting the manufacturing industry. So in the earlier days, you had to manufacture cars in bulk, but now you can probably in the future, you might be able to give your own design to the car company and say, this is the car design that I want, and please have it 3D printed and ship it to me. And the car company will be able to do it. Okay, so you can get cars 3D printed, custom designed cars 3D printed specifically for you. So that's the kind of disruption that's happening in the manufacturing industry. And if you look at the taxi service, of course, we have already seen this disruption already taking place. Olas and Ubers have already disrupted the taxi business. Before they arrived, of course, if you wanted a taxi, you had to go to a nearby shop which used to have taxi service, and then you had to get the service for a half a day or a full day, and you had to pay in lump sum. But now using just an app, you can book a cab and the cab comes to your doorstep. It picks you up and drops you to your destination, and you just pay per kilometer. Basically, the business model has completely changed because of the app-based taxi service. So it kind of disrupted the previous taxi business. All those guys who are running the taxi business went out of business. And look at what's happening in the insurance sector, for example. The connected cars with sensors and actuators, sensors mainly, are able to give a lot of data about your driving behavior. How you drive, whether you're a rash driver, whether you're a safe driver, and things like that. Based on that, the insurance company can take all this data and they can analyze it, and they can figure out what kind of premium they have to charge you. If you're a rash driver, they'll increase your premium, insurance premium for your car. If you're a safe driver, you may get a discount. Things like that. So it's kind of disrupting that area as well. And if you look at self-driving cars, it's completely changing the scene. Of course, they are still not become mainstream, but when they become mainstream, they're set to replace displace the drivers themselves, because you don't need a driver anymore to drive the car. The car drives by themselves because it's so intelligent. It can learn things on the fly using sensors and artificial intelligence algorithms. So this is what is happening in the automotive sector. And if you look at the healthcare sector, robots are driving more and more surgeries today. Of course, it's assisting the surgeons, but in future, who knows, the robots may take up and do the surgery on their own. Or look at, for example, the healthcare diagnostic services that's getting disrupted because of self-testing kits. Even the COVID testing kit, you can get it for your own. If you just go to Amazon and search for self-COVID testing kits, you will find it. It hardly costs you some 200 or 250 rupees. You can get that kit and test it yourself. Or you can have this BP monitoring or sugar monitoring devices that you can test it yourself. You don't have to go to a doctor's clinic, or you don't have to go to a diagnostic center to test anything. So it's kind of disrupting these diagnostic services also. And if you look at exoskeletons, these are specialized robotic devices that's basically giving a new lease of life to people who are paralyzed from the waist down. They're called paraplegics. They have to always use a walker or a crutch in order to walk. But now these robotic devices can be worn on the person, and they can walk like any other human being. So it's sort of bringing new disruption. Okay, disruption can be for positive, for example, like in this case. It can make people walk again. In other cases, disruption can be negative. And look at in the hospitality sector, Airbnb, I'm sure many of you are familiar with. What does Airbnb do? It allows you to, of course, a lot of people who have excess space in their homes or anywhere else, they can put their space on Airbnb, and other people can look for those spaces and they can book for it. And they are a cheaper alternative to many hotels, right? So Airbnb kind of disrupted the hospitality industry. The hotel businesses were disrupted because of Airbnb. And now what's happening is, for example, Burger King is laying off 60,000 people in their Burger King outlets. All those employees who used to make burgers and serve you burgers, they may be out of the job soon, because there are robots making burgers for you automatically, and they're also going to serve you burgers. So that's the kind of disruption that you see in the fast food industry. And even in hotels, this is already there. In many parts of India, there are robotic servers and waiters who come and serve you food in restaurants, right? So this is a kind of disruption that we are seeing everywhere. And now, so before I go to the next topic, are there any questions that students have?
Kiran, there have been few questions. The first question asked, what is crypto money?
That's again a big topic. Cryptocurrency is called as a crypto money. A cryptocurrency is basically a completely digital currency. It's not like a rupee or dollar that we are used to using. So rupees, I mean, the kind of currency that we use, it's either printed money, or of course it can also be in a digital format. But cryptocurrencies are based on something called as a cryptographic technology, which is completely in digital form, and they use blockchain kind of technology, digital ledger technology, to you can buy or sell these cryptocurrencies, and then it will be recorded somewhere in some computer, and then you can transact with other people using this. But of course, this is still not legal in many countries. Even in India, there are a lot of restrictions on transacting with cryptocurrencies, because there is a fear that it might actually be a threat to our currency itself. I mean, our rupee as a currency. So every nation is, of course, worried about these cryptocurrencies coming and displacing them or disrupting them. So most of the countries won't allow these cryptocurrencies in a big way. At least, of course, in the initial days, at least, who knows what will happen in the future. But cryptocurrencies, to answer your question, is basically a digital form of currency.
Thank you. There is one more question, which is, what's the difference between firewall and a blockchain?
Oh, they're totally different things. A firewall is something, it could be, a firewall is basically a technology which is used to prevent unauthorized access to your computers or to your companies or business or organizations network. It prevents them from getting in. But blockchain, the other one is blockchain, is it?
Yes, blockchain.
Okay, so blockchain is basically, of course, it's a secure form of doing transactions. That transaction could be in terms of cryptocurrencies, or it could be holding some documents, or your bank transactions, or anything. It's a pretty safe and secure. So firewall, I mean, if the blockchain also gives you a lot of security, but firewall is different from blockchain. They're totally different things, different technologies.
Okay, thank you. There is one very good question. How to make website? I think it's a topic in itself.
Yeah, how to make website? I would suggest two tools. There is a very simple tool called Google Sites. Google Sites, SITES. Go to Google Sites and you can create very simple websites, or you can go to another free tool called Wix. There are Squarespace. There are many other tools where you can create websites. Okay. So.
Okay, one more question. What is LIDAR and radar in self-driving cars?
Okay, that's a very complex question. I'm not technically qualified to answer that, but there are sort of technologies which will help you to kind of make sense out of it. If you, it basically sends a signal in a self-driving car. It sends out a signal to figure out what is nearby. I'm sure many of you understand what a radar is. It sends radio frequency waves and the radio frequency wave bounces off from an object in front of you or somewhere near you, and then it comes back to you, and then based on the time it took for the signal to go and come back, you can figure out how far or how near the object is. Similarly, LIDAR is basically uses some sort of a light or a laser kind of technology. I'm not an expert in that field, but the kind of application could be similar between radar and LIDAR, but of course they may be used in totally different areas and they may have different applications.
What is 5G and how it works?
Okay, again, 5G is probably a high-speed network. All of us are used to 4G mobile networks today. 4G is much more high speed. It can support more bandwidth. You will be able to do a lot more things. Of course, even if you see today, if you want to watch movies on a 4G network, there may be a little bit of delay and then jitter and things like that. In 5G, you may not have those kind of challenges. It's much more high-speed internet, to put it in simple terms, and uses a totally different mechanism. Yeah, and some of the companies, even in India, I think they're trying to move towards 5G. Is yet to be there. There are 5G installations already happening in a few countries, but India is yet to see that. And there are also lots of concerns regarding 5G technology, health hazards, and things like that. It's a whole vast field by itself. So we don't know. I'm not an expert to say whether 5G is harmful for living beings or not. Again, there are lots of pros and cons. People say this way, that way. I have no idea personally. Unless we experience it, we don't know. So today it's very difficult to believe anything, right? There's a lot of propaganda also. Yeah, so, great. So shall we continue?
Yeah, we shall continue. Thanks.
And then I can take more questions down the line. Yes. Okay. So we have seen technologies disrupting many of the existing products, services, businesses so far. I gave you some examples. But now we will look at what is digital transformation. So to understand the difference, you need to understand that disruption starts in bits and pieces initially. It will affect one business or one industry or one individual because of one particular product, one particular service. It starts slowly. But then soon, when more and more people start using those kind of digital products and services, it starts disrupting the entire industry, entire business chain, or entire kind of complete products in that area. When that happens, we call it as a transformation. What it does is completely transforms the landscape. What used to be a small blips here and there that were changing things or disrupting things have become mainstream now. Okay, just look at the example of your school. Before the pandemic, schools were there. They were all traditional classroom based. And of course, there are Byju's and Vedantu and other things. They were like kind of trying to disrupt things. Here and there, there are some students going and registering with Byju's, and they used to get online coaching and things like that. But suddenly the pandemic came and it completely disrupted the physical schooling environment. And it's kind of, we can say it's transformed the space. It's transformed schooling itself in many ways, because every school has switched to online mode. And because of the adoption of online technologies, the way teachers teaches, the way students studies, everything has changed. So it's a complete transformation in a society. If you see, if digital transformation is nothing but the profound change, big change that is brought about by the application of digital technologies, products and services in all aspects of human society. That's what transformation is at a broad scale. When things completely change. From the bullock cart, when the automobile came, the bullock cart got out of business, right? And then the automobile became mainstream. So initially the automobile disrupted the bullock carts and the horse-drawn carriages, and then later on, it completely transformed. All the bullock carts are out there. I mean, nowhere there to be seen nowadays, right? I mean, very far and few, maybe in some remote villages. But in cities, you can't even drive a bullock cart or a horse-drawn carriage anymore, right? That's the kind of transformation that we are seeing. What digital transformation brings is it brings more efficiency and productivity, especially to businesses and organizations. And it basically, it helps improve the customer's experience, especially when you're offering some products and services. It brings more, brings centricity to customer experience. And it also, because it's also disrupting, it brings new innovations, new products and services, and it also brings new business models, new revenue streams. That means how businesses make money out of their products and services. That's completely changing. Earlier, if you wanted to buy music, you had to, probably in the 1990s, you had to buy a cassette tape. You had to buy the complete cassette tape. It used to have 10 or 15 songs, and then later on, we were used to buying a complete CD, which used to have maybe 40, 50 songs, and then came the DVD. But then once Apple iPod came, it completely changed the scene. You could buy individual songs, right? And now buying individual songs has become mainstream. So it's completely changed the music industry itself because of that. So the business model has undergone change. Instead of charging for an entire album or 40 or 50 songs, you charge per song. That's how the digital transformation has happened, the disruption and transformation that it has brought. And of course, it changes the process. It also changes the behavior. I'll give you some examples. Okay, so digital transformation in turn leads to more disruption as well. Now let's go to the next slide. Okay, let's take a few examples. I think we are already close to 50 minutes now. Okay, we need to rush and finish faster. Okay, so basically, if you see the first example, we are moving from physical to virtual medium. Earlier, before the pandemic, all the family get-togethers, we used to meet in person, right? And now, once the lockdown started, and then the first wave came, and then the second wave came, people were worried, they were not venturing out. And then we started using our Zoom or Google Meet or Skype or whatever, or WhatsApp video calls to meet and greet each other, or family members. In future, you might have something called as a holographic meets. Okay, where a virtual avatar of your relative or friend will come and sit on the sofa right next to you in your living room. He will or she will have a chat with you, and then boom, it will disappear. The avatar will disappear. These kind of technologies are already there. Of course, they are very expensive, but it will take some time to become mainstream. But this is the kind of transformation that may take place. So it's sort of bringing a new customer experience as well, right? And the second example. Okay. Yeah, the second example is about the online schooling itself, right? So we had the traditional classrooms before the pandemic, and then we have online classrooms. And in future, you might have holographic teachers. So teachers who themselves holographically, it's like an avatar coming and standing in front of you. And you may not even have to go to a school. A holographic teacher will come and sit in your living room or your study room and then teach you the subject that you want. So what can happen in that case? The traditional schooling is gone, because the teacher can come to you and the teacher can speak to you in your language, and it can teach the subject that you want to learn, rather than a mass a classroom in which the teacher teaches the same subject at the same time for all the students. It's going to be more personalized and customized for your experience. That's the kind of holographic teachers are already coming in. A few universities, they're already being tried out. And what happens to the teachers? They don't have to work in one particular school. They can go to multiple schools and they can project themselves to anybody, any individual, and they can be charging money. So they can charge per student rather than getting a fixed salary. So this is how it can change in future, the complete transformation. And what's happening is, of course, where are we? Okay. So of course, in both, we use technology, but humans are still relevant in this particular example. Now let's take another set of examples. For example, in this case, we are moving from in-person to app-assisted life. That means, let's take this example of retail. We were shopping at retail stores earlier, but since the pandemic has stuck, we have switched, many of us have switched to online shopping. And then we book we place an order for groceries, and then the delivery boy comes and home delivers it to your home. And then in future, or not so future, it's already happening in some countries like in US. Amazon is already using delivery robots, and even Amazon is also trying drone-based deliveries. That's the next thing in delivery. So what's happening is the delivery boy's job is completely disrupted and it's going to be replaced by technology and technology-based products. So it's a behavioral change for us as shoppers. And then of course, for the guy who's delivering, he has to look for some other job for sure. Okay, so it's app assisted life. So we use app and of course it's displacing some human beings and our behavior is also changing. And if you look at clinical consultations, for example, we used to go meet the doctor earlier, but since whenever we had lockdowns, we switched to online consultation with doctors. We used to just have a video call with the doctor and the doctor would prescribe us medicines and he would encourage that rather than going to his clinic or to the hospital. In future, we will have more and more of self-diagnosis, self-monitoring devices, which will continuously monitor your health if it is a wearable device, and you could be just wearing it, it's continuously monitoring it, and it's sending it to a cloud server. From there, it's going to a doctor, and the doctor is looking at your heart rate, your BP, and everything, and he's automatically prescribing you medicines. And who knows, the medicines could be sent to an online pharmacy, and the pharmacy could ship you medicines before you realize that you have high blood pressure. So that kind of transformation may be coming in the future. And these kind of self-monitoring devices are already there in the market today, right? So in a way, if you see what's happening is, again, from humans, it's app-assisted life or technology-assisted life. That is where we are in, humans are partly involved. So doctors is, of course, is relegated to the backside. The doctor may not even be visible to you, but only the app is visible to you. And of course, in some cases, the artificial intelligence may detect what health problem you all have, and it may automatically prescribe you medicine instead of a doctor. That may happen in a little later future. And now let's look at another example. This is moving from manual labor to automated labor. In the factories, people used to work manually. Many of the jobs used to be performed manually. And like lifting heavy boxes or weights. And then nowadays we have something called as exoskeletons. Okay, if you're not familiar what exoskeleton is, you again Google for it. You'll find exoskeleton is like a wearable robot that you wear, and then immediately you get superhuman strength because a robot is taking a lot of the weight, and you're able to lift heavy weights in a factory kind of environment. But in future, not so future again, because there are companies like Boston Dynamics which are bringing robotic workers, which can pretty much pick up and do a lot of factory jobs on their own. So it's completely displacing or disrupting the factory workers, and it's automating the whole thing and bringing a transformation to the factories itself. Okay, and now if you look at our jobs, white collar jobs, we used to go to offices before the pandemic, and then now we are switched to what we call as work from home environment. And in future, those jobs are increasingly getting automated because of artificial intelligence, because of robotics. Your jobs may be taken over by robots or by artificial intelligence algorithms. So in these two examples, humans are no more involved. Completely robots are taken over. So I gave you three examples. One is humans are still involved, humans are partly involved, and humans are no more involved. This is the kind of transformation that we are heading towards slowly. In the not so distant future, we may become more and more irrelevant as human beings because machines can do more and more. And that is called as the second machine age. In a second machine age, compared to the first machine age is also called as the industrial revolution, where machines took over a lot of hard work which couldn't be done by human beings. The machines took over and did work which required more muscle power and things like that. But in the second machine age, machines are becoming more intelligent because they're able to take a lot of decisions based on data. They can analyze the data, they can learn from the data, they can use machine learning algorithms, they can use artificial intelligence, and they can take their own decision. In which case, why are we needed? Look at the self-driving car. The driver is not needed to look at the road anymore, or to drive, when to speed, when to brake is not required. The car can drive by itself. Or the Sophia, which is a humanoid robot, you can have a conversation with this robot because the robot can talk intelligently to you. Or look at artificial intelligence based disease diagnosis. So instead of doctors, of course, today they say that these kind of technologies are assisting doctors in diagnosis. But in future, as the artificial intelligence becomes more and more mature, they can probably diagnose diseases better than even doctors can do in some cases. Okay, that's the scenario we are headed towards. Machines are taking over more and more from human beings, or the Boston Dynamics kind of robots. They can completely displace factory workers, or the IBM Watson machine, which has fed with a lot of legal documents. They can potentially displace lawyers because it can give you legal advice better than any lawyer. The lawyer may make mistakes in giving you legal advice, but IBM Watson can do it better. Or the Amazon Smart Warehouse robot, it's kind of displace a lot of workers in warehouses where they keep a lot of goods and services before they ship it to you. These robots can go anywhere, pick up the items that are needed, they can pack it and they can ship it to you. So that's the kind of transformation that we are seeing. We are entering the second machine age, which is completely driven by machines, which can substitute human beings rather than being machines being complement to us. Okay, that is what is happening. And gradually all of this is taking us into something called as a mission driven economy, where missions will drive more and more of the work, or it will drive more and more of the economy. It will produce goods, it will consume goods on behalf of their human masters. Of course, you need to be a master, you need to own a mission, and the mission has to go to work on your behalf, and it has to do all the work that you ask it to do, and it will also earn money on your behalf. What are the enabling technologies for this? Internet of Things again, artificial intelligence, and the blockchain kind of technologies, the distributed ledger, and of course, cryptocurrencies. The machines will not use our rupees and dollars, they will use cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and maybe other coins. And they will produce their own goods, they'll consume their own goods, and they will also have marketplaces where machines can engage in transactions. So basically, these machines have their own wallets or e-wallets, and they go about doing their own business. Okay. So welcome to the future of a machine-driven economy. It's not too far in the distant future. It's already coming. And now let's, as last part of this, I'll also talk about the fourth industrial revolution, or the Industry 4.0. This is again being driven by technologies like Internet of Things, data analytics, robotics, artificial intelligence, all of these. For those who may not be familiar with what this is, Industry 1.0 was more about using water and steam power. Okay, that was when the industrial revolution started, probably in 17th or 18th century. And Industry 2.0 was more about using electricity and things like that for production. And Industry 3.0 was more of using computers and electronics that we are used to now. And Industry 4.0 is much more comprehensive. It uses a lot of computerization for manufacturing, and it brings all these technologies, the latest technologies, the emerging technologies, to automate a lot of things and drive something called as a smart manufacturing or additive manufacturing, which is also called as 3D printing. And there are technologies called as digital twins. Basically, you can twin a real mission in the form of a digital version of it, or a digital avatar of it, and the digital avatar continuously monitors, and it has a replica of the digital mission almost in the digital world. And based on the digital twin, you can even predict how the machine will behave in future, when it will wear out, when it requires maintenance and things like that. And of course, robotic workers in factories. So these are what is driving Industry 4.0. Of course, again, to bring more efficiency, bring new products and services, new revenue models, things like these. This is what Industry 4.0 is all about. And ultimately, the long-term vision is to take us to something called as Society 5.0. It's also called as a super smart society. Countries like Japan are already driving towards this future, because if you see, they have an aging population. A lot of people are getting older and older. We don't yet, I mean, in Japan, if you see, there are not many births happening in the society. So existing people are getting older, and the young people are far and few. People who are working age are limited. So because of that, they need to plan something towards something called a Society 5.0, where all these technologies, smart technologies, smart products and services are going to make life easier for those elderly people also. okay, or for all the people who are living. And they may not be able to work in factories, or they may not be able to work or do their jobs, but they should be able to make a living. So that is where we are headed towards. Okay. And yeah, somebody is drawing something on the screen. Can you please clear it? So just clear out the screen. Or how do we do it, Shambhavi?
I'm very surprised that something like this has happened. I was just looking at how to clean this.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Tapping the annotate button, and if you use erase.
Yeah, I don't know how to clean this, but yeah, it's disturbing us. Okay.
Sir, you can use disable annotations.
Disable annotations. Okay, let me see. Okay.
Disable annotations.
Okay, but can I clear the annotation?
Yes, sir, you can just check it out. It is there. Annotation under annotations, disable is there, and even you can check for clear.
Yeah, I didn't find any clear here, but yeah, what is this?
Disable annotations.
Erase.
Have erase.
Okay, it's got done. Okay, fantastic. I think we are already past 1 hour. I need to hurry up and take you through the last section. So this is where we are, Society 5.0. Now let's get to the last part of the talk, the last few slides. What is happening because of digital transformation? We are seeing a lot of job losses. A lot of jobs are getting automated. That's happening for sure in many industries, in many businesses. That requires us to completely reskill and upskill ourselves. So that means you need to learn new things, acquire new skills, and or if you know some skills, you may need to upgrade it, or you may have to shift it to some other area and acquire more skills. And what we are also seeing is a lot of full-time jobs are disappearing, and people are moving more and more into freelance or contract kind of jobs. And we are also seeing a rise in entrepreneurship. More and more people want to take the entrepreneurship route. And then new jobs require, even if you want to take, whether it is entrepreneurship or new jobs, basically you need something called as 21st century skill. I'm going to talk about that in the next slide. And of course, a big impact of digital transformation is it's bringing more disruption. It's bringing new business models, new products and services. A lot of innovation is happening. So how do we deal with all of these challenges? That's the question that we have to ask. And if I'll give you a few bits and bytes of information, if you see automation is eating into our existing jobs, but not many new jobs are getting created. You're seeing how the situation is in India also today. If you see these newspaper articles, one is from the Hindu, which says why India's most aspirational generation, its millennials, is quickly becoming its most anxious one. That's because the jobs are not getting created. There are not many jobs out there. We are a growing population. We have 1.4 billion population, and we have a few hundred millions of youth who are of the working age, and they're not getting jobs today. A lot of automation is happening. Of course, there are other disruptions as well because of the pandemic and other things. They've also gotten added to the problem. But of course, the economy is also in not so good shape nowadays. But automation is also playing a key role. And if you see the other article in Times of India, which appeared on 16th of June this year, it says IT companies are set to slash 3 million jobs by 2022. Okay, because of automation, and they want to save $100 billion in cost. So just see where we are headed. Okay, we don't know whether 3 million jobs will really be lost, or maybe new jobs may be created. But basically, I would say there is a lot of turbulence out there. And then in a typical airplane, they would say fasten your seat belts and sit tight. But I would say remove your seat belt and do something different. You can't be doing the same old things. If you do the same old things, you will get disrupted by yourself. Okay, by others, of course. And look at some of the statistics. The unemployment rates in India today is at almost 8.2%. This was as of 1st of September, yeah, across India. And the GDP growth rate is, again, economy is in turbulence. There are ups and downs. Of course, we are recovering, but we are still not yet at pre-pandemic levels in terms of GDP growth rate. Okay, and then if you also see entrepreneurship, a lot of people are now moving towards entrepreneurship. They're starting their businesses. But of course, the unfortunate news is 90% of the startups fold up within 3 to 5 years of operation, mainly because many first-time entrepreneurs lack the experience, or they are not innovating enough, or they are just replicating Western business models. What works in US, what works in Europe, they try to bring it in India, and you try to start a business, but unfortunately it fails because the conditions are different. The kind of human behavior in India is different from other countries. So a lot of disruption is happening in the startup field as well. So understanding all of these, what should we do? So first and foremost, of course, we need to upskill and reskill and acquire something called as 21st century skill. So you need to acquire new skills. One is, if you're not digitally literate, you need to become digitally literate, basically knowing how to use digital tools and technologies in your everyday life. And of course, picking up a lot of skills in this area. But that's not enough. If you just know how to use a tool, you will be only good for a job. But if there are no jobs, what are you going to do? Right? So you need critical thinking and problem solving abilities so that you can take the more entrepreneurial route. You need creative thinking abilities. You need teamwork and collaboration kind of skills these days. You need better communication skills. This is one area that a lot of students find challenging. Self-learning and self-direction. This is what is needed. You cannot be pushed. You need to take up ownership for yourself and drive things on your own. And you need to have a lot of persistence and perseverance. This is another area I see students giving up too soon. So don't give up too soon. You need to persevere. If you have challenges, you should not say, sir, I'm going to give up. I cannot do this. You need to find ways and means and become creative and find ways to overcome any obstacles or hurdles in your path, and then still achieve what you wanted to achieve. And of course, you need to gain self-confidence. But if you only keep doing all of these, you'll of course get your self-confidence, and then you need to develop entrepreneurial mindset, growth mindset, and all of these. So unless you focus on these kind of skills, it's going to be very difficult, because in future, these are the most essential skills. Without these skills, nothing will happen, nothing will move. You cannot do anything, right? And now, fortunately, we have a lot of digital tools and platforms out there. In the earlier days, you had to build things from scratch, but nowadays you have a tool and a platform for everything. If you want to build products and services, there are digital tools and technologies and platforms available there. They make the process of creating digital products and services very easy. And if you want to market, of course, you have WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of these places where you can do social media marketing. And if you want to create a website, there is Wix. If you want to create you want to sell your artistic work, artwork, craft work, there is Etsy. If you want to sell your books, you have Amazon Direct Kindle Publishing. If you want to write blogs, there are WordPress, and there are Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, and Amazon Web Services, where a lot of digital tools and technologies and platforms are available for you to create your products and services. You can even make money through YouTube. A lot of technologies are there. Even if you want to raise funds, there is Kickstarter, for example. There are lots of these. So basically, the building blocks today have changed. Don't try to recreate, reinvent the wheel. Don't try to build from scratch. You may be learning something about electronics and things like that, maybe resistors, capacitors, transistors in your school. But if you try to build circuits with that, you will not go anywhere today. You need to buy ready-made boards like Arduinos or Raspberry Pis, and then you need to be innovating on top of it. Don't try to build things from scratch. Okay, at least in the electronics area, there's a lot of things are already available. In the digital areas, there are a lot of things are already available. And democratization of entrepreneurship is what is a new thing that is happening, of course, over the last few years, because there are so many tools and technologies out there. Anybody, anywhere in the world can run their own business sitting at home. They don't have to even invest a lot of money. They can use free tools and technologies, and they can be building their products and services, and they can be selling it on online marketplaces like Flipkart or Amazon or Myntra or eBay, wherever. And you could be working part-time or full-time, and you can be earning passive income or an active income. And you can still be a student. It's better that you start your part-time business when you're a student. So basically, this is called as a solopreneurship. When you are still a student, you can actually become a solopreneur. A solopreneur is a solo entrepreneur is the most viable option for beginners who, before they are comfortable with entrepreneurship, they can actually start as a solo entrepreneur and use some digital tools and technologies to create products and services sitting at home. All you need is a laptop and a computer, nothing more than that. And you can be selling online, you can be marketing online, and it gives you a lot of flexibility when you have your holidays, you have your weekends. You can be working on your products and technologies and building your products. And on solopreneurship can be the stepping stone for you to take the entrepreneurial route, because in future, if you don't have jobs, you need to start something on your own. That's what the whole message is about. And ultimately, be nimble, be resilient, up your game, acquire new skills, and do something different. Disrupt. If you don't disrupt, you will be disrupted. Okay, that's the message with which I want to leave you today. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kiran. I know there are a lot of questions which students have asked here. So there is one very important question. Students have asked that so much revolution good for the society, because so many of them are being dismissed from jobs. So before Kiran answers this, let me tell all of you students, in the current age, it's very important to be in multidisciplinary, so you understand what interdisciplinary is. So please understand, whatever kind of revolution happens, it's absolutely necessary for us to understand that each and every product or each and every service revolves around the human. So think human and then have the multidisciplinary. It is only that is going to help in the future. Now off to you, Kiran.
Yeah, so I can take up any questions.
No, if you want to answer this, you can answer, because this is what, I thought. There are questions which says if there are no more involvement of humans, that can lead to unemployment. So what do we do? I think that questions you have already answered with your entrepreneurship slide, but please take ahead this question.
Yeah, sure. See, this is basically a lot of jobs are surely going to get automated. That is for sure. Of course, there will be new jobs. For example, just look at it. Who is going to create these machines? Who are going to create these artificial intelligence algorithms, the machine learning algorithms? We always, humans, are ahead of any machine, because we can think even beyond the most sophisticated machines, the most intelligent machines. So what it requires is we cannot be working the same old dumb way anymore. We need to be more creative. That's what this 21st century skills are all about. If you want to create those missions, of course, if you don't do it, somebody else will do it for sure, and you will be on the sidelines. But if you want to play the game, if you want to thrive in this age of digital transformation, you need to up your game. That means you need to become creative. You need to build more products and services that will add value to a new economy. The economy may more and more be driven by artificial intelligence-based systems, machines, smart machines, and technologies. But you have a play. Human beings are not completely gone from the scene. It's just that the nature of the game has changed. The old jobs, when I say the jobs are being lost, I'm talking about the jobs that are currently there. The old jobs, many of the old jobs will surely get automated, but a new type of jobs will become available. And there may not be, of course, it's a transition period. When these kind of things happen, the new jobs will take time to get created. But who is going to create those new jobs? It's entrepreneurs to create those new jobs. So unless you take the entrepreneurial route and you create those new jobs, there will be many other people waiting for you to create those jobs. So as people who have the advantage of understanding technology, we are able to play around. We should be able to create jobs for those people who may be unfortunate, who may not have the same kind of education that many of us have today. We should be playing the leadership role for them by creating those new kind of jobs. And what are those new kind of jobs are going to look like? It may be one is you can own, of course, how do you earn money in the future? Maybe one is you can build those kind of machines, and then you can rent it out, lease it out, or sell it. And then the other way is, of course, you can buy those machines from other companies, and you can in turn rent it or lease it, and then you make money. Of course, these are two major ways. And there are many other areas in which machines have not yet invaded our field. the human endeavor. So especially in areas of creativity and things like that, machines are still far behind. Artificial intelligence are far behind. Of course, there are some dents and some disruptions happening here and there. Of course, artificial intelligence algorithms are able to do some sketching, drawing, and painting already. They're able to even play music, but they have not reached the same level of perfection that human beings are able to achieve. I don't know whether artificial intelligence can play music better than the best music composer in the world today. It may come, that day may also come, but then what it does is it takes us to the next level. It challenges us to go even further, to become even more creative. So all this transformation, the disruption is forcing us to up our game so that we become more creative. So it's ultimately leading us to something called as a creative age. This is the best part in which we are living. I mean, this 21st century is the age of creativity. Maybe 50 years back, you didn't have this kind of opportunity. You had to just log in a factory and make money. That's how many of our parents or grandparents have worked. They had to really slog it out, and they had to make money to earn some income and grow their children. But now we are more fortunate. The next generation is even more fortunate. The children today who are just coming out of school and colleges are more fortunate because they have all the education, they have all the skills and tools and technologies available to them right from an early age. So they are much better prepared than probably our generation or the previous generation. It's just that we need to up our game a little more to keep in pace with the changes that are happening, and then even to overtake the machines. If you don't do it, then machines are surely to overtake. This was the same scenario when in the 1990s, when there are a lot of computerization in India. There's a lot of pushback from a lot of government employees saying that computerization is going to take away our jobs, and there are a lot of pushback there. But of course it happened. Computers came, and then we evolved, and then we learned how to use computers, and then we became better than those computers, and the jobs have expanded after that again. So there are like ups and downs. There are some phases in which jobs will go down, and there are other phases again, new jobs will get created. So in between that transition, we need to put that extra effort where we create those new jobs, or we create more job opportunities, okay? And we create more products and services in the economy so that the economy can start thriving again. So it's cycles, but we are in a cycle where these new technologies are invading, and we are still, many of us still don't know how to tackle this. So that is why these kind of talks or this kind of webinars are the very purpose of these talks is to give some direction to students so that they know what is the way forward. Otherwise, many students are today confused. Should I do this? Should I do that? Where will I go if I take this route? Where will I go if I take that route? And things like that. Okay, so I think I've answered that.
Thank you so much, Kiran. So to all the students who have attended, thank you so much. We will be hosting a lot of such domain intense, webinar sessions, and we are doing this so it helps all of you students. So please feel free to drop in any questions you have, which is probably not answered here. So, we can actually answer them back. I can put it forth to Kiran sir, and do join in, all of our sessions, because all of them will be like this domain, depth kind of a webinar sessions. And please feel free to ask any kind of questions you have. Thank you so much, Kiran, for that amazing, talk you have delivered.
Thank you very much, and thank you all the students and all the participants who attended today. I hope it was value-adding to all of you.
It was, and we have a lot of thank yous that have come in our chat section also, Kiran.
Oh, okay. I need to look at the chat window.
Yes, please.
Sure. Nice to know that. Yeah, thank you everyone. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for joining in. Bye everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Please
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Shambhavi, can I leave now?
Yes, Kiran, please carry on.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Shambhavi ma'am.
Yes.
I'm Sasikala, coordinator from Kolapirmal Chitti Vaishnav Senior Secondary School.
Yes, please tell me.
So really happy to attend the session. It was really informative. So could you please send us some more sessions like this to our school mail ID?
Absolutely. October 6th, we are planning one more. It is on data science. I think I have your email ID, right, Ms. Sasikala?
Yeah.
So I will forward an email to you so your students can join in. Again, it is going to be domain intense webinar. Please feel free to join in yourself along with your students.
Yes, many of our students joined today.
Yes,
Thank
yes, we see that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, you're most welcome.